Hello, good morning and good evening, viewers from around the world, wherever you're joining me from. Once again, I'm Bolakum, or AKA Akumdit, uh, former South Sudan diplomatic communication, Washington, D.C., New York, and Cuba. Uh, the topic today is about discussing ongoing frustration in the country and ongoing political instability in the country. And I will take us back to memory lane to when all these situations now that are affecting us were put in place to begin with. Something that a lot of you, the audience or the South Sudanese community, probably might have not seen it coming, but somehow, because we were busy or because we were so caught up with so much political rhetoric in the country, we miss a lot of signs of things. Um, if I have to take you back to memory lane, which I intend to, uh, I will begin with the ongoing crisis as I speak with you right now in the country. What is going on in the country? What is going on in the country is that you could see the president is so frustrated, and his people are also frustrated on the way daily things are going in the country. Everything that is happening in the country is not a coincidence. To you, it might sound like coincidence because you're not acquainted enough or knowledgeable enough to understand how this president called Salva Kiir Mayardit work. I've worked with him. I know how he maneuver, how he think, his political doctrine, and when things are not moving his way, what he does to get by. So I'll begin with the creation of the vice president. In February 2020, after Arusha agreement that brought about revitalized peace agreement in South Sudan, the IGAD and the Troika and the Western society came up with a viable solution to the problem of South Sudan by creating the position of vice president, 5 vice president. This, I believe, was Dr. Riek Machar, Mama Nyandengit, Taban Dengai, Abdelbagi Ayi, Wani Igat, and the president. So around 2020, the president made an opinion that a lot of, around 2022, the president made an opinion about the vice president. He felt like he was forced by all these government organizations around the world to create vice presidencies, something he viewed as a threat to his power, because he believed that the world forced him to create vice presidents as a way to steal his powers. And it is in that context in 2022 became the resentment of what we now know that boiled into the situation where we are right now. As a result of the president viewing the vice president as his competitors, people who are trying to steal powers from him. Mama Nyandengit is trying to steal power from him. Tabandenga is trying to steal power from him. Waniga is trying to steal, and the list goes on. Those are his views, his mental view. He go to sleep every night thinking that all these vice presidents are nothing but bunch of thieves who have been sent by other governments, agencies in the world to steal leadership from him. And he was not okay with that. So what was his strategy in 2022 to the president? His strategy has been, and he made it bluntly, that some of the stuff that has been agreed in Addis Ababa, the Artigono, the Arusha Agreement, the unified forces, some of this will never be implemented. He's made it very clear, except that some of us were so deaf and caught up enough to not understand the man himself understanding of his own fear. Moving forward, the reason some of the key issues were not implemented, it goes back to what I said earlier. It is due to distrust of all the vice president. The president believed that if all the agreement that we have had so far, the 2018 agreement, the creation of vice president agreement, the implementation of peace, the arrangement of national unity, and the arrangement of national forces, if all of these are implemented, they put him, all of this put him in a more and secure power. He will feel like, he will feel like all of this put him in, what's this? For being interrupted. Again, sorry for being interrupted. What I was trying to say was that the reason all the key provisions in the agreement were not implemented, it was because the president and his inner circle group saw that it gave the vice president and the international community a voice in his leadership. So the best way is to create chaos, to keep the country divided, create wars against communities, say that the international community and the rest of the world kind of see South Sudan in a volatile situation. And that gives the president time to figure out who to fire and who to keep as a vice president. And that kind of resentment is what is described in the dossier that I read as a strategy the president used to maintain power. Now, let's go back to the event of the week, if we may. Let's go back to the event of the week that brought us to this conversation. The events of the weeks was when Taban Dengai made a frustration statement that he has spent a year not being able to visit with the president and echo, who is this? So echo the fact that the reason is because there are elements within the president circle who made it very hard for president to be able to hear what Taban Dengai had to say or any other vice president had to say. It is true, finally, in the inaugurations of all the governors' meetings or all the new appointee meetings, Taban Dengai had a chance to meet with the president. And out of that meeting, Taban Dengai leadership is now in question, whether he will continue to be a vice president or he will be removed from that position. And part of it is because the people around the president felt like allowing Taban Dengai to talk to the president, and he's going to unveil a lot of things that they don't want the president to know, keeping the president guessing what is going on in the country. And as long as the people around the president are the one providing narrative, everything is okay. There's nothing wrong in the country. They don't want any outside voice to explain what is going on in South Sudan. And ladies and gentlemen, these are the issues. And to assure you what exactly this president is doing, you could see, instead of us speaking about events in Abiamnam, events inside Juba where a little innocent boy was killed, a young boy called a Yok from Medina Will. was gunned down in the broad daylight for no reason at all by just playing next to Gerald Gorgori house, and somehow Gorgori ordered his bodyguard to go and shoot this innocent person because they are making a lot of noise. This was supposed to be the event of the week that South Sudanese are supposed to be discussing about the state of affairs of our country. Well, the faces of the president within the president's circle kind of kept the whole strategy. Instead of focusing on what happened in Abimnam, where more than 300 and something people were killed, and focusing on crisis of Nuerbul and Apuk in Werap crisis, and also focus on the question of what give Gorgori the authority to kill as he wished and no accountability. So why not come up with another wild conspiracy by questioning the loyalty of Taban Dengai, whether Taban Dengai is loyal enough or deserve to even to be a vice president? Why not come up with something like that, just to throw the whole country into chaos? If you are joining me right now, I was talking about the creation of the vice president in February 2020, and a strategy that the president called a bloated government designed to steal his powers. And he and his circle group made it very impossible for any vice president to succeed whatsoever. Because by sabotaging this vice president's success, it actually gives the president more time to obstruct everything in the country. And also, I spoke about why the Arusha Agreement was not implemented and why the Artigono has been all the agreement has not been implemented. Part of it was a strategy the analysts at the U.S. Department of State and other world government, so as it was a distrust to keep all the vice president assuming what the president is thinking. It was a distrust to weaken the position of vice presidents, from Mamanyaneng, the Tabandengai, Wanigat, Abdelbagayi, Riek Machar. As long as they don't have any power to question, and the president is the only person who is maintaining the power, then it would be on discretions of the president decision to implement what or to not implement what. So those were the issues I was talking about, gearing us to the question of what has happened during the week. What has happened during the week? What has happened during the week was some of this stuff that I was talking about, a strategy the president had used to maintain power, beginning now to surface in the statement of Vice President Taban Dengai. It is true. The reason for all the vice president creation, it was to balance power. It was to take some powers and give them to other people, say that they can be able to also provide support to the ongoing rebuilding of South Sudan. Well, the president and his people don't see it that way. They see the creation of the vice president was a way to suppress him or to diminish his powers position. Remember, this is a president who came from ideological concept, political doctrine that today African presidents are modern kings. That's a doctrine of East African leadership. As I speak with you right now, if you're a leader in East Africa, you would believe yourself, you're a modern king, you're above the law. You're the God that everybody should respect, regardless of what. And with that kind of doctrine in his mind, he see everybody as sabotaging his leadership. Now, while all of this argument were going on, behind all these stories, there were a lot of other events that happened within this month that deserve all of us attention as international community, as South Sudanese diaspora, and as citizen, to question the leadership of Salva Kiir Mayardit. How does he manage the country in such a situation? Well, President Kiir Mayardit is known for one thing. He's known for creating chaos. He managed very well in chaotic situation. If there's no problem, he will create problems, say that he can see by creating problem, it gives him time to kind of see in between who's the next victim to remove in the position of power. And this has been his ideological concept since 2005 since 2004 when he fell out with John Garang. And as a result, every person that seemed to be more educated than him, he see that person as an intimidation. He doesn't see to benefit from other people's views. His only views is the only view that supposed to, to work, to maintain the country rules. So as you could see, we don't have a path to peace strategy in this context of the president fearing his own government officials. It is true that all the vice presidents are supposed to be meeting weekly to discuss the ongoing political affairs or political situation in the country, especially the vice president of economic cluster. He's supposed to be briefing the president regularly. The vice president of public affairs, Mama Nyaningit, and youth and whatever, he's supposed to brief the president on the state of the society. The vice president that is equipped with agriculture, infrastructure, all of these vice presidents, all of them have very important role to play in the government of Kiir Mayardit. If Kiir Mayardit had not seen them only as obstruction or as bunch of thieves trying to steal his power in according to dossier statement of President Kiir in 2022, he called the structure as bloated government designed to steal his powers. So if you're walking up uninformed South Sudanese, or if you're walking up not following South Sudan politics very well, now you know the reason why the country is in chaos. It is true, as of right now, the vice presidency of Taban Dengai is in danger, is in question, given his race of concern, and Taban Dengai have every right as a South Sudanese citizen to question what is it that is preventing him not to meet with the president, and he's the vice president of the country. That is a legitimate question. Well, in the eyes of presidential circle, the handlers, the people, the family of the president and the handlers, they see people like Mama Nyanengit, Taban Dengai, Wan Igat, any person who seem to come up with a moral solution to the problem of South Sudan as a threat or as someone insulting the president. It is supposed to be a precedent idea. Well, it has been 21 years since 2005 to the present. It has been 21 years, and this president has been in the leadership. I'm not so sure there is anything surprise all of us need to know about him that we already don't know. So for that, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to end up my show over here, but I definitely want you to be well educated on issues so that when you speak to the reality of ongoing situation in South Sudan. May God be with all of us. And once again, if I know what I know, I'll bring it to your attention as a shared thought. I'm not here employed by any government to provide analysis on South Sudan political. I'm a South Sudanese American, and I live over here. I love this country with all that I have, and I cannot just watch this country going into a drainage based on few individual personal agenda. So thank you so much, and if you see something, say something. Once again, if you see something of a political concern, bring it up. Let's talk about it. Thank you.